Good morning and welcome to the Killik & Co market update. We've woken up this morning to the news that there has been some progress within the Brexit negotiations, and it has been said by the European Commission that the progress has been sufficient to now move on to phase 2 of the negotiations. So that would cover life after Brexit and in particular the trade talks. So that's definitely a good thing, and that's why sterling was up this morning. However, there is a sense that there has been quite a lot of compromise on the UK side, and that's probably why sterling is only up about 0.25%. This slide here gives an idea of some of the key areas within the latest Brexit deal, the first of which is the Irish border. So there was some concern that there would have to be a hard border within Ireland, and it has been confirmed that that will definitely not be the case. The second point is that it was a concern that perhaps the UK would still fall under the jurisdiction of European courts after Brexit. It has been confirmed that that will definitely not be the case, and that particular point is seen as a win for the UK with regard to the Brexit negotiations. The third point is that the UK definitely will have to continue paying for EU liabilities after Brexit, and that's what people are really talking about when they refer to the UK's Brexit bill. At the moment, it is thought that that bill will fall into the region of 40 to 60 billion euros, so that is a particularly high number, and that is seen as quite a negative point for the UK because we did start off by saying that we did not wish to pay anything with regard to a Brexit bill. And final point is that the rights and social security benefits of 3 million European citizens living in the UK and 1 million UK citizens living in Europe have been secured. So those numbers do seem a bit out of sync and potentially could be seen as a negative for the UK. So those are the main points. As I said, it is good that we have got some progress, but there still is a long way to go, and it's definitely a situation that we will be watching very closely. Also this week we have been looking at consolidation within the UK's gambling sector, and this is really a sector that has changed a huge amount over just the last 2 years. So in the last 2 years alone, we have seen the merger of Paddy Power and Betfair to form Paddy Power Betfair. We've seen the merger of Ladbrokes and Coral to form Ladbrokes Coral. We've seen the acquisition of bwin Party by GVC, and this week it has been announced that GVC is now trying to buy Ladbrokes Coral. So that's a huge amount of consolidation to take place in one sector in just a 2-year period. And the reason this is happening is that all of these gambling firms are trying to cut out costs. So really they're all trying to achieve the same thing. And over the last couple of years, the taxes and the amount of regulation have increased in the gambling sector. And also it has been the case that a lot of gambling has moved online. Therefore, more expensive technology is required, which does cost a lot for these firms. And by merging, they are able to take the cost out of their business. So that's why so much consolidation has taken place, and it is potentially likely that there will be further consolidation to come. It is an industry that has changed quite a lot, in fact, over the last decade. So back in 2007, Blair's government did enact a new gambling law. That did loosen the regulations around gambling, and for example, it did allow gambling firms to do things like advertise on TV. So that has allowed the sector to expand quite a lot. And as you can see from this slide here, back in 2008, the revenue of the whole industry in the UK was 8.36 billion. And last year that was as high as £13.8 billion. That does demonstrate how much the sector has expanded by, and therefore it's not surprising that it has been the subject of higher tax rates and higher regulation. So definitely a sector that is still very much in a state of flux, and one that we are continuing to watch very closely. And over in the US, Donald Trump has officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and now there is concern across the whole world that this will lead to further tension across the Middle East. We have already seen protests breaking out over Palestine, but as yet we haven't seen much of a reaction within the stock markets. This chart here shows the FTSE All World over the last year, and as you can see, there hasn't really been any move whatsoever in the last week, but that is still something we'll be continuing to watch closely. This Friday, there is an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. That has been requested by 8 of the Council's 15 members. And this slide here shows which countries have requested the meeting. So we will be watching closely this afternoon to see what outputs come from that meeting. And last of all this week, it has been reported that Google's DeepMind artificial intelligence program has managed to teach itself how to play chess within just 4 hours, and it has been able to beat Stockfish 8, which is supposedly the world's best chess program. So this really just gives an example of the advances the world is making in the field of artificial intelligence, and it just shows that it is a sector that we do need to continue to watch very closely. Moving on to the week ahead, it is fairly quiet as we do approach the Christmas period, but we are looking forward to results from Ashtead and Ocado. That's it from us. Have a great weekend and we'll see you next Friday.